Mm.
But hey, let's get right into this because this was actually, my old man again. Bless his heart, he helps us out quite a bit, in terms of things at us that we might miss, and we certainly missed until I stumbled up this morning on Twitter or Facebook the last 24 hours. They're obviously going to know that Herm Edwards had a very, very passionate speech, or or would you call it an explosion? You know how we would call this. Um, I would say maybe an explosion about how society within the sports world has actually changed. Um, I mean, if anybody hasn't heard, basically he was having his beef with you know Chip Kelly. He was tired of talking about DeMarco Murray having his problems in Philadelphia, and basically saying, you know what, guys, this is I'm not going to talk about this anymore because this is not. You're putting yourself in front of the team, and everything that he said, even though he said it pretty irately, I completely agree. And it's one of the biggest problems that we have in society now. Montel, I know that you had a chance to look at. What was your biggest takeaway from it, other than the fact that it really does just show passion that Herm Edwards does have for not only covering this game, but for actually coaching and playing in this game too.
He really does. And before I get into this, I like to preface my statements by saying he's actually ahead of a kind of like a new experimental football league. I don't think it's quite the FXFL, but it's going to allow a lot of fringe players to get a chance to play. And I know a few sources that are very thrilled about this opportunity. So be aware of that in the coming months. But going into the issue itself, just like you said, he's dead right. He's got every right to feel the way he does about this, and it has gotten out of control. I think players are too selfish. I think players have historically been selfish. I just think it's more obvious because of social media, because of the 24-hour news cycle, and everything's instantaneous through the internet now, so everyone knows without watching the 7 o'clock news. So he's right. It bothers him. It bothered him more than I thought it would on set. But I think that shows how fiery and how passionate he is. And the truth is, people that are like Herm at heart aren't really cut out for media. So if I were him, just get out of it, because just like you said, media loves this. This is what they want to see. This is what they want to encourage. They want to ask questions so people can give answers that are controversial like that. And people who really love football guys, they're coaching and yelling at people for doing these things. So I think at that moment, Herm realized his own personal conflict of interest. He likes being on TV and making money, but he's not quite I don't want to say sellout, but he's not willing to kind of, you know, um, throw his love for the game and what's right in the back seat.
Well, in Montel, it is selling out. It is essentially selling out. I mean, there are a lot of very good analysts out there. Mike Golick is one of them who are very firm and adamant decisions, and Herm Edwards is one of those guys. In my opinion, I would much rather love to listen to Herm Edwards on a radio show that he can control, like a Mike Golick, than seeing him on ESPN, because the guys that are in front of that camera have sold out. The guy who sort of all the NFL players that now work there is Mark Schlereth.
Mhm.
It's
Mhm.
waste of time to listen to him speak. It truly is. You don't learn anything from him because he doesn't do any teaching moments. He's only doing nothing but dogging players or dogging the glory days and say, oh, when I did this, how we did things. Well, to be honest, nobody cares what you did. They want to hear you talk about this situation. And so I do love the fact that Herm is that type of way, because it gives that NFL team over at ESPN a little bit more of an edge. Now, personally, I'd love to see him still coaching, but I'd also still love to see John Gruden coaching. But at the same time, that kind of will are right there with me. It wouldn't hurt ESPN as much as them losing to John Gruden. Did we lose Montel at all?
I couldn't hear the back end of what you're saying. I heard something, and then I heard John Gruden. You kind of cut out. Just go ahead and say it again. I got it.
Oh, yeah. Sorry about. No, I was saying, we could use, the NFL could use Herm Edwards back in the league. I don't think NFL would be hurting as much to lose Herm Edwards than they would with John Gruden.
Oh yeah, I can agree to that easily. And this is just one of those things where people are cut out for different things. Gruden is he's a film rat. He was obsessed with it, obsessed. I've heard stories of him, doing a lot of film in the office, a long day at work, getting ready to come home, and then thinking of something and going back to work to see it, and back to the office building to see what was going on and if his idea or paranoid thought was correct. So, and then not too recently, not too long ago, he signed a contract, I think, to stay with ESPN for the next 5 years. So, different people are meant for different things. I think Herm Edwards has a love and a passion for the game, and I think when you've played, when you've coached, and when you feel that way, there's always an area somewhere for you. So I think these guys don't necessarily have to be a part of ESPN to do exactly what they want to do. I mean, Gruden has to because he's tied, but, obviously he was an attractive coaching candidate still. A few years ago, people were seriously talking about him to Tennessee. Obviously that didn't gain enough steam.
Yeah, and that's unfortunate because I love Gruden. I love those NFL films, cutbacks of when he was coaching with Tampa and, yelling. The one I'll always remember of him when he was coaching was when I believe it was Rondé Barber was returning the pick six in the Super Bowl, and, he was just yelling, and then he gave the three, fist pumps, the boom, boom, boom. I think that's the one thing I'll always remember about Gruden, on the sidelines as a coach. But yeah, I mean, this is the biggest thing. It's an epidemic, unfortunately, of everything that we're discussing within this segment. Because the media is not going to shy away with it, in the same way as these players aren't going to shy away with it either, because they're basically, again, they're going to have the mantra of, what, I'm making this much money at this much time. You're paying me to do this, so I'm going to speak my mind and say what I want. And if you don't like it, that's not my problem. That's your problem. And I don't have to worry about your problems. You know what I'm saying? In terms of that grand scheme of things. So I don't think personally it's ever going to get any better. It's only going to get worse. And that's just how it continues to go with society. But again, this is another one of those subjects that we could dive into for hours on end, but at the same time, you get a half hour into it and we'd be lost, we'd be bored, and then we wouldn't know where to go. But Montel, I know we can't hear the sleigh bells just yet. I mean, I don't know about you, but, I've already started busting out some of the Christmas music. I'm figuring of putting some decorative lights up in my room, get that Christmas feel, going into it. Maybe hit a dab here and there. Draft Nation, if you're lucky, maybe I'll hit one to end the show. But with that being said, it is Christmas season. We also know that there are some teams out there that suck, royally suck. And they're hoping to God that a certain player comes out. So, Montel, I'm going to give you a chance to put on your Santa hat. Write a wish list. Particular team, I'll let you pick the for Christmas.
Cool. All right. So is it one specific team, or am I handing out gifts to several teams, or what's the rule here?
Oh, we could do both because it is Christmas season. The more the merrier. But I know you are a Bears fan, and I know that you got a pretty big wish list.
Yeah, I do. Okay, I'll keep this simple for the Bears. I really think, the way this defense is sitting right now, they still need help. Offense could use a little bit more help too. Christmas gifts for everyone. I think the Bears really need to address the edge rusher position. Um, man, you know what? I'll be the nice guy here, Josh, and I'll say in round 3, Joe Schobert is still on the board. Yay! Okay, I'll give him to the Bears. What else? I'll give the Bears. Jeez, we got some needs here. I'll go ahead and give them a corner too. I want to give them Cravon LeBlanc. It's a great corner. I think he goes to maybe Florida International, Florida Atlantic, one of those smaller Florida schools. He's very talented. I like his
Yep.
ball skills. I like his agility. He's got a smooth back pedal. And I think the Bears finally need to nail down a nickel corner guy. I think Bryce Callahan has been phenomenal for nickel right now. I think he's got a permanent spot on this team, in my opinion. I just don't know if it's going to be at nickel. Maybe he'll be the 4th guy. He could go as high as number 2, depending on how long people want to, play Fuller where, Fuller doesn't belong, which is in man coverage. So I think this gives them more options and more flexibility. You go across other teams, I got to give the Texans, I got to give them a quarterback, which is kind of ironic because I think Brian Hoyer may be hitting his stride, or at least as much of a stride as he can hit. But I'll give them a quarterback. I'll give them Paxton Lynch. I think he's got everything Bill O'Brien likes, and I'll give him. He's got the arm strength, he's got the accuracy. I think he's going to be intelligent enough. I don't know what the Wonderlic is going to be, but I'd be shocked if it wasn't significantly, or no, just slightly above average at least. And I also think that Lynch fits the mold. He's tall. He's got the strong arm. Bill O'Brien loves these guys, so I think that's what's going to happen. I think another guy, one more gift here for the Texans. I'm going to give them a running back because we've seen it, Josh. It's so tragic. Jonathan Grimes, Chris Polk, Alfred Blue, no. And neither guy is a starter of the future there. They need another running back. I'm going to give them Derrick Henry. Say he lasts later round 2 or round 3. So I'll give round 3 Derrick Henry to the Texans. Merry Christmas.
I liked it. I love the way you end that. You had a little bit of emphatic on it. I hope since you hit that, you had that little pause when you said Merry Christmas. I hope you, hit that dab to go with it.
Yeah, I did.
But
I was gonna sing a little something,
yeah.
but I was like, nah, I'm gonna let Josh get to his gift.
Warm up the spice a little bit. Am I talking to a little bit of a, young Frank Sinatra over there, or what's going on?
Well, I do some shower singing, Josh, but nothing other than that, Professional shower singer. That's about it.
Hey, I can respect that, but I think everybody knows, I'm a Vikings fan, and boy, we have a wish list, folks. We don't need a running back because Adrian Peterson just ran a touchdown. So, yay. But we do need an offensive. I will give us that. We do need interior offensive line help. I would even venture to say that we need maybe a right tackle. It's so difficult to say who I really like. I think Spencer Drago, in my opinion. Montel, you can agree with me or, blast me if I'm wrong. I think Drago would be a more fittable at the right guard or left guard position than he would be at the tackle. But I also like Cody Whitehair from Kansas State. I think he'd be a good pick for the Vikings, say, within the middle of round 2, if we decide not to do any moving. Or even Vadal Alexander. This is a guy who people are talking about going in the first round. But I'm going to tell you guys right now, you can vault me. Vadal Alexander will go in the second round. All right? He is not as good as what people are talking him up to be. So please just find the pipe just yet.
I don't know, man. I don't know.
Because I'm telling you, in my opinion, I think Cody Whitehair is twice the player that Alexander is. The only reason Alexander's getting more pub is because he plays at LSU. Who can Kansas State play this year? Well, nobody.
Oh, well, they play. Well, who they beat, I think, is the bigger question. But Alexander, as a guard, I think that's a good player, Josh. We'll see. We'll see what he tests. But I wouldn't be shocked if he win the first round. And I like Whitehair too, though. But
Whitehair is
I don't know,
guy.
but they're your Christmas gifts. They're your Christmas gifts. Do you, Josh?
I really like Whitehair. I really like